The whispers started with just one blurry picture: Kirk Frost, the man fans know for keeping secrets, spotted on the tarmac of a tiny private airstrip. Beside him, Jasmine Washington, dressed down but unmistakable, her eyes hidden behind oversized shades. No entourage, no cameras, just the two of them boarding a jet bound for somewhere no one expected. Within hours, the internet was ablaze. Where were they going, and why together, away from the chaos of Atlanta? The answer, it turns out, was more shocking than anyone could have imagined. The private jet touched down on a secluded island, a place so exclusive even the rich whisper its name like a secret. Sources say Kirk had planned the getaway for weeks, promising Jasmine that here, under palm trees and ocean breezes, no one could judge them, no one could expose them. It was supposed to be their escape from the world. But the real story began when Rasheeda, hurt, furious, and unwilling to be left behind, found out. Fans are still in disbelief at how she managed it, but she arrived, uninvited, ready to confront them both. Eyewitnesses claim the tension was electric from the moment she set foot on the island. Imagine the scene: Jasmine in disbelief, Kirk scrambling for words, and Rasheeda standing firm, her voice sharp, cutting through the warm tropical air. "So this is where the truth hides," she allegedly said, her tone dripping with betrayal. Emotions ran high, the family was left divided, and what was meant to be a secret paradise turned into a storm of accusations, heartbreak, and explosive confrontations. And this is just the beginning. The island getaway no one was supposed to know about has become the battleground for truths too heavy to hide. Fans are shocked, insiders are whispering, and tonight, you're about to hear everything that happened. When love lies, and loyalty collided far from Atlanta's bright lights, the sun hung low over the horizon as the waves crashed against the white sand. And Kirk thought this was the perfect cover for the escape he had been planning for weeks. He had convinced Jasmine that they needed time away from the constant eyes of Atlanta, the gossip, the judgment, the cameras that always seemed to catch them at the worst possible moment. Jasmine, tired of being painted as the villain in everyone else's story, agreed without hesitation. She packed light but carried the weight of 1,000 rumors on her shoulders. As they walked along the shore, Kirk whispered promises about fresh beginnings and quiet nights under the stars, his hand tightening around hers like he was afraid she might slip away if he let go. But even in paradise, secrets leave a trail. Back in Atlanta, Rasheeda sat alone scrolling through her phone, her heart pounding when a DM popped up from someone she didn't even know. It was a picture, grainy but clear enough. Kirk and Jasmine boarding a private jet. At first, she refused to believe it, telling herself it had to be old, maybe even staged. But the caption under the photo burned her eyes. "Fresh sighting today, private island vibes." She felt her chest tighten, and for a moment the room spun. How could he? After everything. After the tears, the fights, the promises that the past was behind them. The fury inside her grew, and with it, a decision she knew would change everything. She wasn't going to sit back this time. She was going to find them. Meanwhile, on the island, Jasmine tried to settle into the illusion of peace. She sipped from a glass of wine while leaning against the balcony railing, the sound of the waves echoing in her ears. Kirk sat across from her, nervously tapping his fingers on the table. "You know they'll never understand us," he muttered, his eyes scanning the horizon as if Atlanta might suddenly appear on the waves. Jasmine rolled her eyes. "They don't need to understand, Kirk. What matters is what we have. Stop acting like a guilty man if you want me to believe this is real." There was a sharpness in her voice, a reminder that she wasn't content being anyone's secret forever. The night grew heavy, the air thick with tension masked by the scent of salt and tropical flowers. Kirk reached for her hand again, but Jasmine pulled away. "I didn't come here to play house," she said, staring him down. "I came here because you promised me something different. If this is just another lie, you better say it now." Kirk's throat tightened. He wanted to speak but the words clung to his tongue, refusing to break free. Thousands of miles away, Rasheeda packed a bag in silence. She didn't even tell her closest friends what she was about to do. Her pride screamed at her to stay, but her heart, still tethered to a man who had hurt her more than once, demanded answers. By morning, she was at the airport, her sunglasses hiding swollen eyes, her lips pressed tight like steel. No entourage, no cameras, just raw determination. She booked her ticket and whispered to herself, "If he thinks he can run, he's wrong." On the island the next morning, Kirk and Jasmine walked hand in hand through the market, trying to look like any other couple enjoying the sunshine. But locals recognized them instantly. Phones came out, Whispers rippled through the crowd. Isn't that Kirk Frost? With Jasmine, one woman gasped, snapping photos she knew would travel far and fast. Jasmine noticed the stares and tugged Kirk's arm. See? We can't even hide here. People live for this mess. Kirk's jaw clenched, but he tried to keep calm. Ignore them. Let's just enjoy the day. But his eyes betrayed the panic simmering beneath his calm exterior. That same panic followed them back to the resort, where Jasmine scrolled through her phone only to see their photos already spreading online. Comments flooded in. Fans are shocked. Emotions ran high. Rasheeda won't let this slide. Jasmine tossed the phone onto the bed. It's only a matter of time now, she said flatly. Kirk rubbed his temples, muttering, I just wanted some peace. But peace was already slipping through their fingers. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jasmine caught Kirk staring out at the ocean, his shoulders heavy with guilt. She walked up behind him and placed a hand on his back. You're thinking about her, aren't you? Kirk didn't answer right away, but his silence was louder than words. Jasmine's eyes narrowed. You dragged me out here to make me believe I mattered, but you're still haunted by her. Maybe you always will be. Her voice cracked, but her anger held firm. Kirk finally turned to her, his face pale. It's not that simple. But it was about to get even less simple, because at that exact moment, on another side of the island, Rasheeda's car pulled up to the same resort. The driver opened the door, and she stepped out with a look that could cut through steel. She had tracked them down, and nothing was going to stop her from finding the truth. The staff greeted her nervously, unsure what storm was about to unfold. But the storm had already begun the moment she decided to board that plane. Inside their suite, Jasmine paced the floor, while Kirk tried to think of a way to calm the fire he knew was coming. His phone buzzed in his pocket. One glance, and his stomach dropped. Rasheeda had sent a single message. I'm here. He froze, his hands trembling, while Jasmine looked at him, suspicious and unrelenting. What is it now? She demanded. Kirk swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. She knows. Jasmine's breath caught in her throat, her face flashing with fear, then rage. You brought me here to escape, and now she's here. Are you serious, Kirk? He tried to explain, but the words stumbled out, half-formed and desperate. Jasmine shook her head, her voice rising. You can't even keep your lies straight. You're about to destroy both of us. Kirk stepped toward her, but before he could reach her, there was a sharp knock at the door that echoed like thunder. Both of them froze, the room falling silent except for the sound of Jasmine's quickened breathing. Rasheeda stood outside, her hand still pressed against the doorframe, her heart pounding with betrayal and fury. She whispered to herself, Time's up. Inside, Kirk's knees felt weak, and Jasmine's eyes were locked on him, daring him to move. The island that once felt like a secret paradise had turned into the stage for a confrontation no one was ready to face. The night had only just begun, and with it, the unraveling of every fragile lie that had held them together. The knock landed again, heavier this time, and Kirk's voice cracked inside his chest as he said, Don't open it. Jasmine stared at him like he'd lost his mind. You ran us all the way out here, and now you want to hide. From her, from the truth. Kirk took a single step, then another, and when he reached the handle he paused like a man holding a live wire. Jasmine folded her arms, chin lifted, daring him to show whose side he was on. He pulled the door, slow at first, then wide. Rasheeda stood in the doorway with wind-tossed hair and a stare that could salt the ocean. For a moment, no one breathed. The island hum faded, replaced by the quiet roar of hurt that had been building for years. Rasheeda's sunglasses slid down her nose, and her eyes locked on Jasmine first, then Kirk. Her voice was low, steady, dangerous. Tell me this isn't what it looks like. Jasmine's lips parted, then pressed tight. Kirk swallowed and reached out a hand like he could pull the apology straight from the air. Rasheeda stepped past him, the scent of airport and anger following her in. And the door clicked shut behind them like a judge's gavel. Jasmine shifted her weight but didn't back down. You flew across an ocean without an invitation. That says everything. Rasheeda's laugh was sharp. What it says is I'm done being humiliated in my own house. She pointed at the open balcony where the sea threw itself against the rocks like it wanted to climb up and watch. You thought the island would keep the noise out. The noise is you, Kirk. The noise is the lies. You told me we were rebuilding. You told me family came first. When did first start meaning last? Kirk's hands lifted in surrender. I needed space to think, to breathe, to fix things in my head before I made a mess back home. Jasmine cut in, eyes flashing. So you brought me to be your therapist and your secret at the same time. That's not how this works. If I'm in your life, I'm not a shadow. I'm not the thing you hide behind palm trees. Rasheeda took one step toward Jasmine, not quite threatening, but close enough that the room tightened like a drum. You're not a shadow, Jasmine. You're a choice, and every choice has a cost. Outside in the hallway, a staffer slowed with a tray of fruit and vanished again. Because even people who didn't know the backstory could feel the fracture line running through the suite. Inside, emotions ran high. Kirk paced to the balcony, fingers pressed to his temples. I didn't bring anyone here to hurt anyone, he said, but his words felt thin, like paper in the rain. It was supposed to be quiet. It was supposed to be simple. Rasheeda's reply was almost a whisper. Nothing about us is simple, and you know it. Jasmine moved to the glass doors and slid them open, letting the humid air flood the room. Fine, she said, voice steady. Let's have the conversation you both keep avoiding. If we're here, we're here. Say what you want to say to each other. Say it in front of me. She leaned on the railing, hair lifted by the wind, eyes fixed on the horizon like she dared the sun to blink. Fans are shocked, she added, almost to herself, because she had seen the photos too. The comments, the hashtags, the live streams picking apart every frame. They're going to keep being shocked until you stop pretending you can live one truth in public and another one in private. Rasheeda refused to sit. She planted herself in the middle of the room and turned to Kirk. Why her, and why now? I need an answer that isn't dressed up as a plan or covered in apologies. Give me a sentence that doesn't bend. Kirk's face tightened. Because I didn't know how to be with you without breaking myself. Because I was afraid of failing you again. Because Jasmine showed me a version of quiet that I thought I needed. Each because landed like a stone. Jasmine's jaw worked, surprised to hear her name pressed into that confession. Quiet? Don't rewrite me as a sanctuary just because you're scared of your history, she snapped. I'm a person, not a getaway. Rasheeda nodded once. Slow. There it is. The truth, finally crawling out from wherever you buried it. She looked at Jasmine and her voice softened, only slightly. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not here to make a scene for strangers on the beach. I'm here to draw a line. He is a husband who keeps stepping out of the house and pretending the door never closed behind him, and I am a woman who refuses to live in a story where the ending is already written by someone else's fear. Jasmine studied her, something like respect flickering and then hiding. We both deserve honesty. We both deserve more than crumbs. The floor seemed to tilt as Kirk stared at the tile like it might offer a map back to the man he meant to be. A gull cried, somewhere above them. In the distance, a jet ski cut a silver scar across the blue water. Kirk finally looked up. I asked you both here, one by invitation and one by fate, and all I can offer is the truth that I am lost. The word sat there, vulnerable and ugly, lost, and with that one word, the family was left divided in a new way, not just by betrayal, but by the terrifying possibility that no one could steer this ship anymore. Rasheeda took a breath that sounded like the start of a storm, then decide, not tomorrow, not when we get back. Now. Her voice hit the air like a command. Jasmine's hand curled around the railing. Decide doesn't mean point at whichever woman you think will forgive you faster, she said. Decide means decide who you are. Are you the man who tells the truth, even when it burns, or the man who builds secret islands out of other people's hearts? Silence expanded until it pushed at the walls. Kirk closed his eyes and pressed his palms together like a man praying for a lifeline. When he opened them, the soft certainty he wanted wasn't there. We go back to Atlanta together, he said, voice low. The three of us. We sit with family. We bring our mess into the daylight. I'll face it. I'll face all of it. Jasmine shook her head. That answer keeps both doors half open. You're still hoping the hallway will hold you forever. It won't. Rasheeda's eyes narrowed. Daylight is not a decision, it's a stage. You're asking us to perform your courage for you. A knock rattled the room again, softer this time. And a concierge murmured through the wood that a boat was waiting. The sunset cruise they had reserved hours earlier. Jasmine laughed once, humorless. Your romance itinerary just crashed into reality. Cancel it, Kirk called out, and the footsteps retreated down the hall. When the quiet settled again, he turned to Rasheeda. I know you think this is just another chapter in the same book. I know I wrote to many of those. But I'm not going to let our life be decided by rumors or pictures. I will stand in front of anyone and tell them the truth. Jasmine lifted an eyebrow. Which truth? Phones buzzed. All three looked down in the same heartbeat. A trending banner blazed across their screens. Paparazzi drone footage had caught their arrival, and the clip was now everywhere. Fans are shocked. The captions screamed. The island wasn't private anymore. It was a stadium. Comments poured in like rain, dividing into camps that hurled words like stones. Team Rasheeda demanded strength and separation. Team Jasmine demanded acknowledgement and respect. Team Kirk was smaller, confused, pleading for a redemption arc. No one trusted yet. Rasheeda locked her phone and set it face down. We don't need the world to tell us what to do. We know already, even if we don't want to admit it. She faced Jasmine. I didn't come to attack you. I came to stop running from the thing that's been chasing all of us. Jasmine nodded once. I won't apologize for wanting a love that looks me in the eye, but I will not be the cover story for his fear, and I will not be kept offstage when the truth is being told. Their words pulled Kirk forward like ropes. He stood between them, palms out, not touching either one. I'm making a call. Tomorrow morning, first flight, all of us back to Atlanta, and we meet with the people who matter. We set ground rules. We decide whether this marriage can be rebuilt with honesty, or whether we part as people who refuse to lie to each other anymore. Jasmine's throat worked as she sounded out the only question that mattered to her. And me, where do I stand when the plane lands? In the shadows again. Kirk's answer came out rough. No shadows. No more. And if the truth means I lose everything I thought I could keep, then that is the price I pay. Rasheeda searched his face, like she could read the fine print. His voice didn't say. And if the truth means letting go, she asked, can you live without the part of you that loves the chase more than the home? Kirk flinched, the accuracy of the blade undeniable. His voice sank. I want to live without lies. I don't know yet what survives after that. The ocean wind pushed into the room, and the curtains breathed like tired lungs. Jasmine stepped back inside, closing the balcony doors until only a soft hush remained. She faced Rasheeda squarely. If he chooses his marriage, I will not be your enemy, but I won't disappear in shame either. I'll tell my own story, clean, without his fingerprints all over it. Rasheeda considered her. We don't have to like each other to stop being weapons. The line softened between them, not erased, but less jagged. Kirk nodded slowly, sensing the ground shift beneath his feet in a way that felt like both danger and mercy. I'll call my mother, he said. I'll call your mother. I'll call the people who keep us honest. We'll sit in a room without cameras and without excuses. We'll talk like a family even if we feel like strangers. Jasmine's stare held steady. And you will tell them the whole truth, not the version that keeps you safe. The whole truth, he said. Everything. Night fell quick and blue. They ordered food they didn't eat. They spoke in careful sentences that tried to build a bridge wide enough for grief to cross. Every so often the island laughter of strangers breezed in from somewhere down the beach. A reminder that paradise is always somebody else's story. Their phones kept lighting up. A cousin texted, "Are you okay?" A friend wrote, "Call me now." A manager, smelling opportunity and disaster in equal measure, wrote, "We need to control the narrative." Kirk turned all three screens face down. The narrative would not be controlled tonight. Later, when the room had thinned to the fragile quiet that comes after a hurricane, Jasmine slipped on sandals and said she needed air. Rasheeda hesitated, then surprised herself. "I'll walk." The two of them stepped into the corridor together. Kirk watched them go, uneasy and grateful at once, like a man being trusted with a responsibility he didn't yet deserve. Down the hall, a couple recognized them and froze mid-conversation. Jasmine kept her head high. Rasheeda kept her shoulders square. They moved like twin storms crossing the same sea without colliding. On the sand, the moon painted a road across the water. They walked it with their eyes. Jasmine spoke first. I don't wake up hoping to ruin someone's life. I wake up hoping to not feel like I'm living in a hallway with no doors. Rasheeda nodded, voice quieter now. I don't wake up hoping to be the sheriff of someone else's choices. I wake up wanting a home that doesn't move when the wind blows. They stood in that honest place for a minute that felt longer than the day. Then Jasmine asked the question that had been waiting between them since the door opened. If he chooses you, can you forgive him in a way that doesn't erase me? Rasheeda answered with the kind of truth that hurts clean. I can forgive him without pretending you never existed, but I can't promise to heal on your timeline. Back in the suite, Kirk stared at his reflection in the glass. The man who stared back looked older than the one who landed that morning. He whispered a promise to the quiet room. No more islands. Not like this. No more doors that open only halfway. A soft knock pulled him from the thought. Jasmine poked her head in, followed by Rasheeda. We're taking the morning flight, Rasheeda said. Jasmine added, and tonight we sleep. Not because we're okay, but because we have to arrive as people who can speak without breaking apart. They spread spare blankets and made an awkward peace with the room's limited boundaries. Kirk offered the bed, but both women refused. Neither wanted the symbol. Hours dragged. Somewhere in the dark, the storm they'd been riding finally cooled to a stubborn drizzle of quiet. The island, which had started as a secret and turned into a stage, fell asleep around them. Dawn lifted like a curtain. The three of them moved through the motions of departure with the calm of people who had run out of energy for spectacle. At checkout, a cluster of guests pretended not to stare. A child pointed, not understanding the weight of the scene, only recognizing faces from screens. The car door shut with a padded thud, and the road to the airstrip unspooled beneath the tires. Lined with hibiscus that looked too bright for a morning like this. Fans are shocked. The headlines still screamed, but shock was a luxury none of them had time to feel anymore. On the tarmac, heat shimmered. The private plane waited with its sleek promise of escape, but they were no longer running. A commercial flight would have been a confession they weren't ready to share with strangers shoulder to shoulder. So they climbed the small stairs and took their seats like three people who understood that arrival matters more than departure. As the engines rolled up from a whisper to a roar, Jasmine pressed her forehead to the window. Rasheeda fastened her belt, eyes closed. Kirk looked down at his hands and finally saw them for what they were, empty until the truth filled them. The wheels left the ground, and the island shrank to a dark coin on blue velvet. Somewhere below, the concierge changed the reservation status from occupied to checked out. As if any system could measure the weight of what had happened in that room. Somewhere above, the day opened like a long, hard road. Atlanta waited at the end of it, loud, messy, unforgiving, and honest. And whether anyone liked it or not, that was exactly where this story had to go next. The plane touched down in Atlanta, just as the city was shaking off the morning fog. The weight of silence between Kirk, Rasheeda, and Jasmine clung tighter than the seatbelts they'd just unfastened. Cameras had already gathered outside the terminal, tipped off by leaks that spread like wildfire overnight. Flashes exploded the moment they appeared. The trio moved quickly, shields of sunglasses and tight expressions. But every step felt like a spotlight on cracks they could no longer hide. Fans were divided, some shouting Rasheeda's name in support, others screaming for Jasmine to tell her truth, while a smaller cluster booed Kirk, calling him out as the man who couldn't keep his house in order. Once inside the waiting car, the silence finally cracked. Rasheeda spoke first, her voice calm but edged with iron. "This isn't just between us anymore. The whole city's talking. Our family's talking. We can't pretend this was just an island mistake." Jasmine, seated across from her, shot back, "And we can't keep acting like I don't exist. You want to make me the villain? Fine, but I'm not backing down when the truth is mine too." Kirk leaned forward, gripping his knees like the pressure alone might keep the car from exploding. "Enough. If this blows up any further, there won't be a family left to argue about." The car pulled into his mother's driveway, a place he once thought of as sanctuary. But even before they reached the porch, they could hear raised voices inside. Family members had gathered, news already in their hands. Inside, the air was thick with judgment and disbelief. Kirk's mother stood at the center, shaking her head as if she could physically push the scandal away. "You boys never learn," she muttered. Though her eyes softened when they met Rasheeda's, the confrontation began almost instantly. A cousin shouted at Kirk, "How could you drag us into headlines again?" A sister snapped at Jasmine, "What did you think was going to happen? You're tearing this family apart?" Jasmine stood tall, refusing to flinch. "I didn't tear anything. I exposed what was already broken." The room buzzed with gasps. Rasheeda, still standing, lifted her hands for quiet. "Stop pointing fingers at her. This is Kirk's mess, and he needs to own it." Today, the pressure mounted until Kirk's chest felt like it would split. He finally spoke, voice shaking but steady enough to carry. "I lied to all of you. I thought I could build two lives and keep them from colliding. I thought I could escape the shame by hiding on some island. But I was wrong. It's all here now, and you can hate me for it, but I won't deny it anymore." The room fell silent. Jasmine's eyes burned but she nodded, as though the confession was the first piece of honesty she had ever heard from him. Rasheeda's face broke, not into anger this time, but into tears she had sworn she wouldn't shed. "You don't even understand the damage, Kirk. You broke our home, our trust, our family's name, and now you expect us to just, what? Watch you fix it." Outside, neighbors had gathered, the scandal spilling from screens into streets. Reporters shouted questions from the curb. Inside, emotions ran high. Kirk's mother stepped forward, her hand raised for quiet. "This house has seen storms before, but this one will either end us or force us to face what we've become." Her voice cracked, the matriarch suddenly fragile. Jasmine whispered, "So what now?" Rasheeda's answer was a blade and a bandage all at once. "Now, we stop pretending. Every secret comes out, and then we decide who walks away whole and who doesn't." Kirk looked at both women, at the family around him, and for the first time in years, he realized there was no escape route left. The island hadn't saved him, And Atlanta wasn't going to either. Only the truth could. And even then, it might be too late. And with that, the battle lines were drawn inside the family, across the city, and online, where fans were still tearing each other apart in real time. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning. The room was spinning with voices, each one louder than the last. Cousins arguing, aunts shaking their heads, neighbors texting live updates to gossip blogs. Kirk sat on the edge of the couch, his palms pressed to his knees so tightly his knuckles turned white. Rasheeda stood near the doorway, her arms folded across her chest, her face unreadable but her silence louder than all the noise. Jasmine sat straight-backed in a chair, refusing to shrink under the glares from Kirk's family. She had spent years being called the outsider, the homewrecker, the mistake. But today she wasn't going to fold. Kirk's mother raised her hand, her voice sharp enough to slice through the storm. Everyone stopped talking. The room fell into uneasy silence, only the ticking of the wall clock breaking it. Her eyes swept from Kirk to Rasheeda to Jasmine. You think this is about your scandal? You think this is about headlines? But this is about respect, about family, about legacy. She turned to Kirk, her voice low but cutting. You're my son, but you've embarrassed us all. It raised you better than to drag women into lies like this. Kirk swallowed hard, his throat dry. Mama, I know I failed, but I can fix this. Jasmine's laugh was short, bitter. Fix it, Kirk. This isn't a flat tire. You can't patch it and keep driving. You built 2 whole lives, and now both of them are burning. Rasheeda's voice cracked, but her words were steady. And the worst part is you think admitting it makes you brave. It doesn't, it just makes you late. Fans online were in chaos, hashtags trending, live reactions pouring in as people took sides. Some praised Rasheeda for standing tall, others accused Jasmine of seeking attention, while a few defended Kirk, claiming he was just a man under pressure. The comments only added fuel to the fire. Kirk's sister waved her phone in the air. Look at this. TMZ just posted the drone video. Y'all walking on that island like it's a honeymoon trip. Kirk, what were you thinking? Did you want to get caught? He buried his face in his hands, his voice muffled. I just wanted peace. I thought the island would keep the world out. Rasheeda snapped. You don't get peace by creating war in your own house. You don't get to run away with her and call it peace. Jasmine shot back. Don't put this all on me. He came to me. He made promises. He told me he couldn't breathe at home anymore. The room erupted again, voices clashing like thunder. Kirk's uncle shouted, Boy, you better pick a side before both these women walk away and you're left with nothing. His cousin muttered. He already has nothing, no respect, no loyalty, no backbone. Tears welled in Rasheeda's eyes, but she blinked them back, her voice sharp. I didn't come here for a family trial. I came here for answers. Kirk, you told me we were rebuilding. You made me look like a fool while you were planning a vacation behind my back. She stepped closer, her voice dropping. Tell me the truth, and don't you dare look away. Do you love her? The question landed like a bomb. Jasmine's chest tightened, her eyes darting to Kirk, searching for the answer she already feared. Kirk's mouth opened, then closed. His silence was louder than words. Jasmine stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. That's all I need to hear. You can't even say it. She grabbed her bag and headed for the door, but Rasheeda's voice stopped her. No, you don't get to walk out. Not yet. You wanted to be here. You wanted to prove something. Stay. Let him say it with both of us standing right here. Jasmine froze, her shoulders tense, then slowly turned back. Fine, let's hear it. Kirk, you've had us both in the dark long enough. Say what you feel. Not tomorrow. Not in a text. Not on some stage with cameras. Say it here, to our faces. Kirk's hand shook as he stood, his body heavy with the weight of years of lies. I love you both, he whispered. Gasps filled the room. Some from family, some from pure disbelief. Rasheeda's eyes widened, then hardened. That's not love. That's cowardice. Jasmine's lip trembled, fury and heartbreak fighting in her voice. Don't you dare put me in the same sentence as her like we're equal pieces of your puzzle. I'm not a half-life. His mother slammed her hand on the table. Enough. This is shameful. Love is not confusion. Love is not playing house with 2 women like they're options on a shelf. You better find your backbone, Kirk, because you're about to lose both. The room was suffocating. Everyone watching, everyone waiting. Kirk's chest rose and fell, his eyes wet. If losing both of you is the price of telling the truth, then that's the price. But I can't lie anymore. I love Jasmine for the quiet she gave me, and I love Rasheeda for the history we built. But I can't keep tearing everyone apart to protect myself. The silence afterward was unbearable, stretching thin and sharp. Rasheeda finally spoke, her voice trembling but steady. Then you've already made your choice. Because I won't share my husband, not with her, not with anyone. She grabbed her purse, her heels striking the floor like a drumbeat as she walked out the door. Jasmine stood frozen, her eyes locked on Kirk, tears brimming but refusing to fall. She's right. You made your choice. But it wasn't me either. You chose yourself. She turned and followed Rasheeda, leaving Kirk standing alone in the center of the living room as whispers and murmurs swirled around him. He looked around at his family, their disappointment carved into every stare. And for the first time, Kirk Frost, always the man with a plan, always the one holding secrets, felt truly exposed. Outside, reporters' microphones waited like vultures, and the city was buzzing, fans divided, emotions raw. The island had ended, but the real storm had only just begun. The cameras outside caught everything as Rasheeda and Jasmine stormed down the steps, flashes popping like fireworks in the night. Fans online were already live-streaming, narrating the chaos as if it were a championship game. "Yo, Rasheeda just walked out. She looks done with Kirk," one fan shouted on a shaky phone video. Another screamed, Jasmine right behind her, both of them leaving him standing like a fool. Hashtag spread like fire. Hashtag Team Rasheeda and hashtag Team Jasmine trending side by side, while hashtag Kirk exposed trailed close behind. Inside, Kirk pressed his palms to his temples, his chest heavy, his body sinking into the couch as if the cushions could swallow his shame. His mother sat across from him, her hands folded tight. "You let the devil into your house, Kirk. You thought you could juggle fire and not get burned. Now look, your marriage, your name, your peace, all gone." His uncle muttered from the corner. "Man's been chasing shadows so long he don't even recognize the sun." Kirk looked up, his eyes red. "I didn't mean for it to end like this." His mother snapped, "But it did, and meaning don't fix nothing." Meanwhile, outside in the driveway, Rasheeda's phone buzzed non-stop. Carly Red had called her 5 times, and finally she picked up. "Girl, where are you? The whole city is talking." Carly's voice shrieked through the speaker. Rasheeda sighed, her voice cold. "I just walked out on Kirk. He admitted he loves us both." Carly gasped so loud it nearly broke the line. "Oh no, he didn't. See? I've been saying for years, he ain't changed. You need to let the world know you're done." Rasheeda's throat tightened. "It's not that easy. It's 20 years. Carly, you don't just walk away from history." Jasmine stood a few feet away, scrolling her phone as comments rolled in by the second. "She knew he was married. She's no victim," one fan wrote. Another defended her. "Stop blaming the woman. Kirk is the one who lied." Jasmine typed something, then deleted it. She wanted to defend herself, scream her truth into the noise, but she stopped, knowing anything she said would only fuel the fire. Instead, she whispered under her breath, "They'll never understand." As the night deepened, Rasheeda drove back to her mother's house, while Jasmine checked into a hotel under a fake name. Kirk, left alone, scrolled through the chaos online until his phone buzzed with an unknown number. He answered hesitantly. A man's voice came through, sharp and direct. "This is the network. We need to know if you're willing to address this on camera. The ratings will be insane." Kirk froze. Even in his darkest hour, the industry was circling like sharks, ready to turn his heartbreak into primetime entertainment. Back at Rasheeda's mother's house, the conversation was raw. Her mom shook her head slowly. "Baby, I warned you about this years ago. A man who betrays once will betray again. You thought you could hold it together with prayer and patience, but look where it's gotten you." Rasheeda's voice broke. "I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe we could survive it. But maybe I was just surviving for the sake of surviving." Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then stop surviving, and start living." Across the city, Jasmine sat on the hotel balcony, the city lights reflecting in her wineglass. She whispered to herself, "He'll never choose. He doesn't even know how." Her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from an unknown source. A video clip of Kirk and Rasheeda arguing on the island, filmed through the window by another guest. Her eyes widened. The whole world hadn't just seen them together, they had seen everything. Back in Kirk's empty house, he stared at his reflection in the darkened TV screen. For the first time, he couldn't spin a story, couldn't find the words to excuse himself. All he saw was a man who thought he could control the storm, only to realize he had become the storm. And as Atlanta buzzed with the fallout, as fans debated and blogs dissected, one thing was certain: the secret island getaway that was supposed to be hidden forever had ignited a blaze no one could put out. The family was left divided. Friends were choosing sides. And Kirk Frost was about to learn that sometimes, when you try to live 2 lives, you end up with none. The next morning, the headlines were everywhere, plastered across gossip sites, TV screens, and every phone in Atlanta. Kirk Frost's double life exposed. Rasheeda walks out. Jasmine refuses to stay silent. Fans were glued to their feeds, dissecting every detail. Outside Kirk's house, reporters crowded the street, their microphones stretched like weapons, while neighbors peeked from windows, eager for the next explosion. Kirk hadn't slept. His eyes were swollen, his thoughts scattered, and the sound of notifications buzzed endlessly in the background. Meanwhile, Rasheeda sat at her mother's kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee she barely sipped. Her mother's voice was firm. "Child, you have to decide if you're going to let him drag you down one more time. People are watching, but more important, your heart is watching. Don't ignore it." Rasheeda's cousin chimed in. "You know what the fans are saying? They're proud of you for walking out. They say you looked powerful. Don't go back and prove them wrong." Rasheeda's jaw tightened. "I don't care about fans. I care about my life, my kids, my dignity." Still, the voices of support stirred something in her strength she thought she had lost. Jasmine, on the other hand, sat on the edge of her hotel bed, scrolling through a flood of messages. Some were cruel, others sympathetic, but one caught her eye. It was from a producer she recognized. "This is your chance to tell your story. Uncensored. No one else's. Keep the world out." Rasheeda snapped. "You don't get peace by creating war in your own house. You don't get to run away with her and call it peace." Jasmine shot back. "Don't put this all on me. He came to me. He made promises. He told me he couldn't breathe at home anymore." The room erupted again, voices clashing like thunder. Kirk's uncle shouted, "Boy, you better pick a side before both these women walk away and you're left with nothing." His cousin muttered, "He already has nothing, no respect, no loyalty, no backbone." Tears welled in Rasheeda's eyes, but she blinked them back, her voice sharp. "I didn't come here for a family trial. I came here for answers. Kirk, you told me we were rebuilding. You made me look like a fool while you were planning a vacation behind my back." She stepped closer, her voice dropping. "Tell me the truth, and don't you dare look away. Do you love her?" The question landed like a bomb. Jasmine's chest tightened, her eyes darting to Kirk, searching for the answer she already feared. Kirk's mouth opened, then closed. His silence was louder than words. Jasmine stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "That's all I need to hear. You can't even say it." She grabbed her bag and headed for the door, but Rasheeda's voice stopped her. "No, you don't get to walk out. Not yet. You wanted to be here. You wanted to prove something. Stay. Let him say it with both of us standing right here." Jasmine froze, her shoulders tense, then slowly turned back. "Fine, let's hear it. Kirk, you've had us both in the dark long enough. Say what you feel. Not tomorrow, not in a text, not on some stage with cameras. Say it here, to our faces." Kirk's hand shook as he stood, his body heavy with the weight of years of lies. "I love you both," he whispered. Gasps filled the room, some from family, some from pure disbelief. Rasheeda's eyes widened, then hardened. "That's not love. That's cowardice." Jasmine's lip trembled, fury and heartbreak fighting in her voice. "Don't you dare put me in the same sentence as her like we're equal pieces of your puzzle. I'm not a half-life." His mother slammed her hand on the table. "Enough. This is shameful. Love is not confusion. Love is not playing house with two women like they're options on a shelf. You better find your backbone, Kirk, because you're about to lose both." The room was suffocating, everyone watching, everyone waiting. Kirk's chest rose and fell, his eyes wet. "If losing both of you is the price of telling the truth, then that's the price. But I can't lie anymore. I love Jasmine for the quiet she gave me, and I love Rasheeda for the history we built. But I can't keep tearing everyone apart to protect myself." The silence afterward was unbearable, stretching thin and sharp. Rasheeda finally spoke, her voice trembling but steady. "Then you've already made your choice. Because I won't share my husband, not with her, not with anyone." She grabbed her purse, her heels striking the floor like a drumbeat as she walked out the door. Jasmine stood frozen, her eyes locked on Kirk, tears brimming but refusing to fall. "She's right. You made your choice. But it wasn't me either. You chose yourself." She turned and followed Rasheeda, leaving Kirk standing alone in the center of the living room as whispers and murmurs swirled around him. He looked around at his family, their disappointment carved into every stare. And for the first time, Kirk Frost, always the man with a plan, always the one holding secrets, felt truly exposed. Outside, reporters' microphones waited like vultures, and the city was buzzing, fans divided, emotions raw. The island had ended, but the real storm had only just begun. The cameras outside caught everything as Rasheeda and Jasmine stormed down the steps. Flashes popping like fireworks in the night. Fans online were already live-streaming, narrating the chaos as if it were a championship game. "Yo, Rasheeda just walked out. She looks done with Kirk," one fan shouted on a shaky phone video. Another screamed, "Jasmine right behind her," both of them leaving him standing like a fool. Hashtag spread like fire. Hashtag Team Rasheeda and hashtag Team Jasmine trending side by side, while hashtag Kirk exposed trailed close behind. Inside, Kirk pressed his palms to his temples, his chest heavy, his body sinking into the couch as if the cushions could swallow his shame. His mother sat across from him, her hands folded tight. "You let the devil into your house, Kirk. You thought you could juggle fire and not get burned. Now look, your marriage, your name, your peace, all gone," his uncle muttered from the corner. "Man's been chasing shadows so long he don't even recognize the sun." Kirk looked up, his eyes red. "I didn't mean for it to end like this," his mother snapped, "but it did, and meaning don't fix nothing." Meanwhile, outside in the driveway, Rasheeda's phone buzzed non-stop. Carly Red had called her 5 times, and finally she picked up. "Girl, where are you? The whole city is talking," Carly's voice shrieked through the speaker. Rasheeda sighed, her voice cold. "I just walked out on Kirk. He admitted he loves us both." Carly gasped so loud it nearly broke the line. "Oh no, he didn't. See? I've been saying for years, he ain't changed. You need to let the world know you're done." Rasheeda's throat tightened. "It's not that easy. It's 20 years. Carly, you don't just walk away from history." Jasmine stood a few feet away, scrolling her phone as comments rolled in by the second. "She knew he was married. She's no victim," one fan wrote. Another defended her. "Stop blaming the woman. Kirk is the one who lied." Jasmine typed something, then deleted it. She wanted to defend herself, scream her truth into the noise, but she stopped, knowing anything she said would only fuel the fire. Instead, she whispered under her breath, "They'll never understand." As the night deepened, Rasheeda drove back to her mother's house, while Jasmine checked into a hotel under a fake name. Kirk, left alone, scrolled through the chaos online until his phone buzzed with an unknown number. He answered hesitantly. A man's voice came through, sharp and direct. "This is the network. We need to know if you're willing to address this on camera. The ratings will be insane." Kirk froze. Even in his darkest hour, the industry was circling like sharks, ready to turn his heartbreak into primetime entertainment. Back at Rasheeda's mother's house, the conversation was raw. Her mom shook her head slowly. "Baby, I warned you about this years ago. A man who betrays once will betray again. You thought you could hold it together with prayer and patience, but look where it's gotten you." Rasheeda's voice broke. "I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe we could survive it. But maybe I was just surviving for the sake of surviving." Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then stop surviving and start living." Across the city, Jasmine sat on the hotel balcony, the city lights reflecting in her wineglass. She whispered to herself, "He'll never choose. He doesn't even know how." Her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from an unknown source. A video clip of Kirk and Rasheeda arguing on the island, filmed through the window by another guest. Her eyes widened. The whole world hadn't just seen them together, they had seen everything. Back in Kirk's empty house, he stared at his reflection in the darkened TV screen. For the first time, he couldn't spin a story, couldn't find the words to excuse himself. All he saw was a man who thought he could control the storm, only to realize he had become the storm. And as Atlanta buzzed with the fallout, as fans debated and blogs dissected, one thing was certain: the secret island getaway that was supposed to be hidden forever had ignited a blaze no one could put out. The family was left divided. Friends were choosing sides. And Kirk Frost was about to learn that sometimes, when you try to live 2 lives, you end up with none. The next morning the headlines were everywhere, plastered across gossip sites, TV screens, and every phone in Atlanta. Kirk Frost's double life exposed. Rasheeda walks out. Jasmine refuses to stay silent. Fans were glued to their feeds, dissecting every detail. Outside Kirk's house, reporters crowded the street, their microphones stretched like weapons, while neighbors peeked from windows, eager for the next explosion. Kirk hadn't slept. His eyes were swollen, his thoughts scattered, and the sound of notifications buzzed endlessly in the background. Meanwhile, Rasheeda sat at her mother's kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee she barely sipped. Her mother's voice was firm. "Child, you have to decide if you're going to let him drag you down one more time. People are watching, but more important, your heart is watching. Don't ignore it." Rasheeda's cousin chimed in. "You know what the fans are saying? They're proud of you for walking out. They say you looked powerful. Don't go back and prove them wrong. Rasheeda's jaw tightened. I don't care about fans. I care about my life, my kids, my dignity. Still, the voices of support stirred something in her strength she thought she had lost. Jasmine, on the other hand, sat on the edge of her hotel bed, scrolling through a flood of messages. Some were cruel, others sympathetic, but one caught her eye. It was from a producer she recognized. This is your chance to tell your story. Uncensored. No one else's version, just yours. Call me. She hesitated, her thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of her wanted to speak, to finally shake off the homewrecker label. Another part of her knew that stepping into the spotlight could turn her into the villain forever. She whispered to herself, but maybe the villain gets the last word. By afternoon, Kirk's phone rang again. It was his manager, voice urgent. Kirk, VH1 wants an emergency sit-down. Not next month. Not next week now. They know the numbers will be crazy. They're already drafting promos. Kirk sighed, rubbing his temples. I don't even know what to say. The manager snapped back. Say the truth. Say the lie. Say whatever, but say something. Silence is killing you. Kirk glanced at the mirror, his reflection weary, broken. Maybe silence is all I got left. But silence wasn't an option anymore. Within hours, paparazzi had spotted Rasheeda leaving her mother's house with a suitcase, her face hidden behind oversized shades. Fans speculated she was leaving for good. Rasheeda deserves better trended worldwide. Jasmine was seen slipping out of her hotel lobby, caught on camera in a sleek dress, and suddenly #Team Jasmine lit up with comments about her glow. Kirk, however, remained trapped inside, the villain in everyone's narrative. As night fell, rumors exploded that all three were set to appear at a private mediation arranged by producers. The location was secret, but fans swore they'd track it down. Inside Kirk's house, his phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from Rasheeda. Short, sharp. Meet tomorrow. No cameras. No excuses. His chest tightened. She wasn't done with him, not yet. That night, Jasmine went live on Instagram for 3 minutes. Her voice shook, but her eyes burned with defiance. I didn't ruin anything. I didn't sneak. I didn't force. I was told promises, just like everyone else. You don't have to like me, but don't act like you don't know who created this mess. The comments exploded. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the family was left divided more than ever. Back at Rasheeda's, her mother whispered before bed, "Child, tomorrow's the day you get your closure. But be ready, closure don't always mean peace." Rasheeda stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. Peace, she muttered. There ain't no peace in this story. And somewhere across the city, Kirk sat in darkness, whispering to himself like a man praying for redemption. No more lies. Tomorrow, it ends. But whether it would end in healing or destruction, no one knew. All Atlanta knew was that tomorrow would bring a showdown bigger than the island, bigger than the headlines, and the fallout would shake everyone in its path. The following morning, Atlanta felt like it was holding its breath. The city's gossip blogs ran countdown clocks. Fans flooded Twitter with predictions. And even radio hosts teased that today's the day Kirk Frost faces the storm he created. Outside the mediation building, an upscale downtown loft, rented by VH1 producers, paparazzi and fans packed the sidewalks, their cameras and phones raised high. Banners of #TeamR, ASHEEDA waved in the air, while smaller clusters shouted support for Jasmine. Kirk, arriving first in a black SUV, stepped out with his head low, hoodie pulled up, but the crowd erupted anyway. Kirk, are you still married? Kirk, did you lie to both women? Kirk, are you done? He said nothing, only clenched his jaw and walked inside. Minutes later, Jasmine arrived, stepping out in a striking red dress, her chin high. The crowd screamed, flashes blinded, and chants rose. Jasmine, tell your truth. Jasmine, don't let him silence you. She waved once, then disappeared into the building. The atmosphere shifted when Rasheeda finally arrived, dressed in all black, with dark shades and a straight face. She carried the weight of 20 years and the respect of fans who roared her name like she was a queen returning from battle. Rasheeda, leave him. Rasheeda, you're stronger than this. The chant swelled until the ground seemed to shake. Inside, the room was tense, lit by soft studio lights, cameras tucked discreetly into corners despite promises of privacy. Producers whispered behind glass, ready to cut this into a primetime event if all sides agreed. Kirk sat in the middle, his hands restless on the table. Jasmine and Rasheeda sat on opposite ends, their eyes cold, their bodies stiff. The mediator, A calm older woman with years of handling celebrity scandals cleared her throat. We're here to find clarity. No cameras unless agreed. No interruptions. Just truth. Rasheeda leaned forward first, her voice steady but sharp. Truth. I've been chasing truth for years. Kirk feeds me promises, then sneaks away. Now the world sees what I already knew, he can't choose. And I'm tired of bleeding while he learns how to be a man. Jasmine cut in before Kirk could respond. Don't act like I tricked him. He came to me. He whispered promises to me, too. If you're tired of being lied to, so am I. The mediator raised a hand. One at a time. She turned to Kirk. You've heard both women. It's your turn. Kirk's throat tightened, his voice hoarse. I failed you both. I wanted peace, but I created chaos. I thought I could build two lives, but now I see I was just running from myself. Jasmine scoffed. That's not an answer. Do you love her? Or me? Rasheeda's jaw clenched. Or maybe you love no one but yourself. The tension snapped when Kirk slammed his fist on the table. I love you both in different ways. The words exploded out of him, raw and reckless. Gasps filled the room. Even the mediator froze. Jasmine's face flushed with fury. Rasheeda's eyes glistened but hardened. Different ways. Rasheeda's voice was ice. That's not love. That's convenience. Jasmine spat. That's selfish. Suddenly, Kirk's phone buzzed, the sound cutting through the silence. He glanced at the screen, his face draining of color. Someone had leaked footage from the island confrontation, the knock at the door. Rasheeda's arrival, Jasmine's accusations, all caught on tape. It was already viral, fans dissecting every second. The mediator sighed. This isn't just between you three anymore. The world is now inside this room. Outside, crowds chanted louder, social media feeds exploded, and producers whispered about the biggest ratings of the decade. But inside, emotions ran high. The family was left divided. And Kirk realized there was no way to control the narrative anymore. Rasheeda stood, her voice steady as a blade. You want peace? Then face the truth in front of everyone. No more hiding. No more islands. No more lies. Jasmine crossed her arms. Fine, let's go live. Let the world see who he really is. Kirk looked between them, trapped, broken, but cornered by his own choices. The mediator leaned back, watching the storm build. Then I guess the question isn't whether this ends today. It's whether it ends in fire or in freedom. And as the cameras hidden in the walls blinked red, the showdown every fan had been waiting for was about to ignite in real time. The mediator barely had time to speak again before the door burst open and VH1 executives stepped in, their faces tight with urgency. We're going live, one of them announced, ignoring the stunned looks. The networks are ready, the audience is primed, and you three are trending worldwide. This is bigger than any reunion special. It's happening now. Kirk shot up from his chair, panic flashing across his face. No, this was supposed to be private, but Jasmine's lips curved into a sharp smile. Private? You lost private the moment you booked that island. The world already knows. Let them see everything. Rasheeda didn't flinch, her voice calm but firm. I'm not hiding anymore. If the truth is out, it'll be me telling it, not bloggers, not leaks. Within minutes, cameras rolled in, producers wired microphones, and the loft was transformed into a stage. Outside, the crowd roared as word spread that the confrontation was streaming live. Fans tuned in by the millions. Comments flying across screens faster than the moderator could read them. Hashtag Team Rasheeda, hashtag Team Jasmine, and hashtag Kirkfrost were all trending at once. The digital battlefield just as fierce as the one unfolding in the room. The mediator, now turned host, introduced the scene. Today, Atlanta witnesses the unraveling of a family torn by secrets, betrayal, and love divided. Kirk Frost, his wife Rasheeda, and Jasmine Washington are here to tell their truths. Gasps rippled through the audience at home. Rasheeda leaned forward, her voice sharp. For years, I've stood by Kirk through every rumor, every scandal. I told myself we were stronger than the lies. But then I see him sneaking off to an island with Jasmine, like our life back home is disposable. I'm done being humiliated. Cheers erupted online, fans flooding with heart emojis and fire symbols. Jasmine fired back, her tone cold. Don't put this on me. Kirk made promises. Kirk chased me. Kirk said he wanted freedom. I'm not going to sit here and take the blame for his double life. Boos and claps mixed in the live stream, the audience divided. Kirk finally spoke, his voice breaking. I lied to both of you. I thought I could find happiness by splitting myself in two, but all I've done is destroy everything. The host pressed him. So who do you love? Kirk. Who do you choose? The silence stretched, thousands of fans typing their guesses. His answer cracked the internet. I don't choose. I can't. Chaos erupted. Fans screaming in comments, coward. He's done. Rasheeda run. Some shouted support for Jasmine. Others begged Rasheeda to leave for good. Rasheeda's tears finally fell, but her voice held strong. Then you've already chosen. You chose to lose both of us. Jasmine shook her head in disgust. I wasted years believing you'd fight for me. I see now you'll never fight for anyone but yourself. The crowd outside the building screamed, their chants echoing up through the windows. The host tried to restore order, but it was too late. The truth was raw, live, and unstoppable. Kirk's empire trembled as his family fractured in front of millions. Rasheeda stood and pulled off her microphone, her voice steady as steel. This chapter is closed. The next one, I'll write it myself. Jasmine followed, her heels striking the floor like thunder. And I'll write mine, without you dragging me down. Both women walked out, leaving Kirk frozen in his chair, his face a portrait of defeat. Fans at home were left stunned, emotions running high. The family was shattered, the future uncertain. And Kirk Frost sat alone in the ruins of his secret island fantasy, with the whole world watching. The camera stayed on Kirk as the door slammed behind Rasheeda and Jasmine, the echo ringing louder than the crowd outside. For a long moment he didn't move, his eyes fixed on the floor, his chest rising and falling like he was drowning in air. The host leaned forward, lowering her voice though the mic carried every word. Kirk, the world just watched your wife and the woman you claim to love walk out on you. What do you have to say to them, and to the millions of fans who feel betrayed? Kirk's lips parted, but only silence came at first. Finally, his voice cracked. I thought I was in control. I thought I could hold on to everything, everyone, by keeping pieces of myself hidden. But I was wrong. I lost the very people I was trying to protect. He rubbed his hands together, shaking his head. To Rasheeda, to Jasmine, to my family, and to the fans, I let you down. I let myself down. I don't even know if I can fix this. Outside, fans screamed his name, some booing, others chanting for Rasheeda. The live stream chat scrolled at lightning speed. Too late for sorry. Rasheeda deserves the world. Jasmine glowed up. She'll be fine. Kirk cancelled. The division was sharp, and the comments only made his shoulders sag lower. Cut to Rasheeda, who stepped into the street with cameras flashing around her. She pulled off her shades, her face fierce. I'm not broken, she told reporters, her voice carrying over the chaos. I'm stronger than ever. This isn't the end of MIT's the beginning. Fans erupted in cheers. #RasheedAreBorn trending instantly. Jasmine, leaving moments later, spoke only once to the cameras, her eyes blazing. Don't mistake me for a secret. I am nobody's shadow. Her words hit like fire, igniting #NoShadows as fans rallied behind her bold declaration. Back upstairs, Kirk finally stood, ripping off his mic. The producers scrambled, begging him for one last soundbite, but he shoved past them. No more cameras. I need to face myself before I face the world again. The episode cut to black, but the fallout only grew. Blogs posted side-by-side clips of Rasheeda and Jasmine leaving with captions like "Queens don't compete, they walk away." Twitter debates raged all night, fans choosing sides like it was a battlefield. VH1 executives toasted champagne, calling it the biggest ratings event in years. And Kirk. He drove alone through Atlanta's glowing streets, the city alive with his scandal. At every red light, someone recognized him, snapping photos, shouting comments that cut like knives. When he finally pulled into his driveway, the house felt colder than ever. The silence was no longer peace, it was punishment. He collapsed onto the couch, staring at the ceiling. The island that was meant to be his escape had become his downfall, and now Atlanta was the stage for his reckoning. The family was divided, the fans were louder than ever, and Kirk Frost had to face a future where love, loyalty, and legacy were slipping through his hands. The storm wasn't over. It had only just begun. Atlanta didn't sleep that night. Phones lit up with clips from the live showdown. Gossip blogs ran polls asking who won, Rasheeda or Jasmine, and talk shows replayed Kirk's confession on a loop. The city buzzed like a hive, every conversation circling back to the scandal. Even restaurants and salons turned their TVs to the reruns. Customers debating in heated voices as though it were their own family on trial. Rasheeda, back at her mother's house, sat on the bed, scrolling through thousands of supportive comments. Fans were calling her a queen, a survivor, a woman who finally took her power back. Carly Red showed up with a bottle of wine and a hug, grinning wide. Girl, you shut the whole internet down. You looked like a boss walking out. VH1 better cut you the biggest check of your life. Rasheeda smirked through tired eyes. I don't care about their checks. I just care about finally breathing without lies choking me. But deep down, the love she once had for Kirk flickered painfully, reminding her that strength doesn't erase scars. Jasmine, meanwhile, stood in front of her hotel mirror, rehearsing the words she wanted to say in her first official interview. Producers were calling nonstop, offers pouring in from podcasts, networks, and magazines. She whispered to her reflection, "This is my moment. No more whispers. No more being the side story. They're going to hear me." Her phone buzzed again, this time, a text from an unknown number. "We have footage from the island no one has seen yet. Pay or it goes live." Her stomach twisted. Another storm was brewing. Kirk sat alone in his dark living room, the only light coming from the glow of his phone. Messages from friends filled his inbox, some furious, some begging him to lay low, some trying to console. Scrappy had called 5 times, leaving voicemails that swung from angry to sympathetic. "Man, you can't keep doing this. You breaking the code. Call me back." But Kirk couldn't bring himself to answer. Instead, he scrolled through the live comments still pouring in. Every word "coward," "liar," "loss" burned into him like a scar. Just after midnight, a notification flashed across every screen in the city. A leaked video, longer, raw, uncut. It showed Kirk on the balcony with Jasmine, whispering promises of leaving Atlanta behind, promising her she'd be his future. Then, another clip, Rasheeda's arrival, her voice breaking as she asked, "Do you love her?" The clip ended with Kirk's silence, his face caught between guilt and longing. Fans were shocked all over again. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag balcony confession. Hashtag Kirk cancelled. Hashtag Rasheeda deserves better. By morning, the damage was worse. Sponsors called VH1, threatening to pull support. Kirk's businesses faced boycotts. Even Frost Bistro saw lines disappear overnight. Customers posted videos tearing up membership cards, saying they wouldn't support a man who disrespected his wife so publicly. Rasheeda watched the chaos unfold, her phone buzzing nonstop with offers and support, but her heart heavy. Jasmine called her once, just once. The two women didn't argue this time. Jasmine's voice was tired. "He lied to both of us. Maybe we've been fighting each other when the real problem was him all along." Rasheeda didn't respond right away, but finally whispered, "Maybe, for once, we agree." And in that rare moment, something shifted. Two women who had been set up as enemies found themselves staring at the same truth. That Kirk Frost had been the one pulling the strings. And now the strings were finally snapping. The family was divided, the city was buzzing, and fans were more obsessed than ever. But behind the noise, one question lingered louder than all the rest. Was this the end of Kirk Frost's empire, or the messy beginning of his redemption? The sun rose over Atlanta, but the city felt heavier than usual. Radio shows lead with the same clip over and over, again Rasheeda's voice on the island asking Kirk, "Do you love her?" And his frozen silence. Callers flooded the lines with raw emotion, some defending him, most tearing him apart. One caller shouted, "Men like Kirk don't change, they just hide better." Another countered, "Nah, he's broken but he's human. Y'all acting like you never made mistakes." The debates only fueled the frenzy, and the hosts laughed knowingly. "This isn't just gossip," one said. "This is history. Love in hip-hop has never been this real." Meanwhile, Kirk hadn't left his house in 2 days. Blinds drawn, phone silenced, he sat on the edge of his bed surrounded by takeout containers and unopened messages. The footage replayed in his head on a loop: the knock at the door, Rasheeda's eyes when she caught him, Jasmine's fury. Every second haunted him. He whispered to himself, "I built this mess. I can't run anymore." But even saying it didn't bring clarity. Rasheeda, on the other hand, was moving like a woman on a mission. She scheduled meetings with lawyers, advisors, and her inner circle. She didn't announce anything, but the whispers spread fast. Divorce papers were being prepared. Cameras caught her stepping out of a downtown law office in a sharp white suit, her chin lifted high. Fans went wild. "Queen behavior," one tweeted. "She's finally free," another wrote. Hashtag divorce Rasheeda shot to the top of the trending list. Jasmine wasn't sitting still either. She accepted an interview with a major network. And teasers ran across social media. Tonight, Jasmine Washington tells her side. The promises, the lies, the island. She sat in the studio chair with her hair sleek, her makeup flawless, and her voice steady. "People call me the homewrecker," she said in the promo. But how do you wreck something that was already broken? The line hit like lightning, shared across platforms within minutes. The tension escalated when VH1 announced a surprise live special for the weekend, Love and Hip Hop, Frost Fallout. The press release promised raw emotions, shocking revelations, and the future of the Frost family. Fans lined up outside the studio days early, hungry for the spectacle. Kirk was cornered if he refused to appear. It would look like cowardice. If he showed up, he'd be walking into the lion's den. On the day of the special, Atlanta streets buzzed with anticipation. Barbershops debated the outcome, nail salons streamed the promos, and even preachers worked the scandal into sermons. "Don't be like Kirk Frost," one minister thundered. "You can't serve two masters." The congregation roared in agreement. Inside the studio, tension was electric. Rasheeda arrived first, greeted with cheers. Jasmine walked in minutes later, her confidence radiating. The crowd booed and cheered at once, the division sharp. Then Kirk entered last, the noise nearly deafening. Chants of "coward," mixed with cries of "redeem yourself." The host wasted no time. "We've seen the leaks, we've heard the rumors. Tonight, we hear it straight from you. Kirk, Rasheeda, Jasmine, the world is watching. Where do you go from here?" Emotions ran high. Rasheeda's voice cracked but stayed fierce. "I'm done being lied to. I'm choosing me." The audience erupted. Jasmine leaned in. "I'm done being painted as the villain. I'm choosing my truth." Cheers and boos tangled together. Finally, Kirk stood, his voice breaking. "I don't know if I deserve either of you, but I want to be a better man. Not for TV, not for fans, but for me. I don't want to die as the man who ran from his own life." The room went silent for a beat, the weight of his words hanging heavy. But then Rasheeda shook her head. "Words are cheap. Actions cost. Let's see what you're willing to pay." Jasmine crossed her arms. "Exactly. Because this time, nobody's waiting around for your promises." Outside, the crowd chanted louder, hashtags exploded, and fans everywhere knew this wasn't the end of the Frost saga. It was just another chapter in a storm that refused to die down. Would Kirk rebuild? Would Rasheeda finally walk away for good? Would Jasmine rise from the ashes of scandal to tell her own story? The city was divided, the family shattered, but one thing was undeniable. The Frost Empire would never be the same again. The studio lights were blinding, hotter than the Atlanta sun, and Kirk could feel sweat gathering at his hairline even as he tried to stand tall. The crowd's noise didn't stop. Waves of cheers, boos, laughter, shouts. It was like a stadium before the final play of a championship. Rasheeda sat with her arms folded, her expression stone, her silence louder than the shouts. Jasmine sat with her legs crossed, her eyes sharp, her lips pressed together like a weapon waiting to fire. The host leaned forward, sensing the electricity. Tonight is about more than just scandal. It's about choices. So Kirk, let's talk choices. Why did you choose the island? Why her? Why now? The question cut into Kirk's chest. He cleared his throat, voice hoarse. "I thought if I ran far enough, the noise would stop. I thought maybe on that island, I could find myself again. But all I did was drag two women I care about into a storm." Jasmine scoffed. "Care about? You dragged me there with promises. Kirk, promises you never meant to keep. Don't spin this like I'm just another passenger on your escape route." Rasheeda cut in, her tone sharp. "And you didn't just hurt us, you hurt our family. The kids see these headlines. Your son walks into school and hears whispers. Your daughter reads those blogs. You didn't just betray me, you betrayed your children." The audience gasped, murmurs rippling. The host pressed. "Rasheeda, are you saying this marriage is over?" Rasheeda inhaled, her jaw tight. "I'm saying this marriage has been over 4 years. I was just too loyal to admit it." Cheers exploded, chants of her name echoing through the studio. Kirk flinched, but Jasmine's eyes widened. "So what does that make me?" The crutch he leaned on while you two played house. "I'm not your band-aid, Kirk." Her voice cracked, raw anger slipping into pain. The chat feed on screen went wild, fans typing "Team Rasheeda forever." "Jasmine deserves respect. Kirk is trash. He'll never change." Some comments begged for reconciliation, others called for closure. But everyone was watching like it was the finale of the biggest reality show in history. Then came the twist. The host held up a phone. "We just received new footage, unverified, but explosive." The screen behind them lit up with grainy clips. Kirk on the island balcony again, but this time the audio was clear. His voice, unmistakable, whispering to Jasmine, "You're my future. Rasheeda's the past." The audience erupted in shock. Rasheeda's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes filling with tears she swore she wouldn't shed on camera. Jasmine stared at the screen, her face pale, her body frozen. Kirk's heart dropped. "That's not the whole conversation," he began, but the boos drowned him out. Rasheeda stood abruptly, pulling off her mic. "I'm done. I've given enough of myself to a man who can't decide whether I'm a wife or a wait. He made his choice on that balcony, and now the world sees it." She walked toward the exit, the crowd roaring her name. Jasmine didn't move, her eyes still locked on the footage, her body trembling. Finally, she whispered, "So I was just your future until the cameras came on. Now I'm nothing." She tore off her mic and followed Rasheeda out, leaving Kirk alone under the burning lights. The host turned to the camera, his voice dramatic. "Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed history. The Frost Empire has crumbled, before our eyes." The show cut to black, but the chaos only grew. Within hours, clips flooded every platform. Each angle dissected, each sentence repeated. Memes popped up instantly, photos of Kirk with captions like "man of no choices." GIFs of Rasheeda storming out, slowed down loops of Jasmine's shocked expression. Fans laughed, cried, argued. Emotions ran high became the headline across entertainment blogs. Sponsors pulled their deals. Frost Bistro's reservations plummeted. And Kirk's phone blew up with calls from angry business partners. Rasheeda, back at her mother's house again, sat surrounded by family. Her cousin whispered, "Girl, you ended him. The internet is yours now." But Rasheeda didn't smile. She stared at the wall, whispering, "Ending him doesn't rebuild me." She scrolled her phone, reading endless messages of support, but none of it filled the hollow ache in her chest. Jasmine, meanwhile, locked herself in her hotel room, sobbing into a pillow. Her phone buzzed with offers, book deals, interviews, reality spin-offs, but she ignored them. The footage looped in her mind, Kirk's voice promising her a future. She whispered, "You made me believe, and then you made me look like a fool." Her fury built, transforming tears into fire. "I won't let you destroy me." She opened her phone and began typing, drafting a Tello post that would shake Atlanta to its core. Kirk sat alone in his mansion, bottles scattered around him, his head in his hands. His phone buzzed again. It was Scrappy. This time Kirk answered. Scrappy's voice was low, steady. "Bro, you in deep. Too deep. You need to disappear for a while. Stop feeding the fire." Kirk groaned. "Disappear to where? The world already found me on an island. There's nowhere left." Scrappy's sigh crackled through the line. "Then face it. Own it. Or you gon' drown in it." The next day, Jasmine dropped her bombshell. A 30-minute live, raw and unfiltered. She sat on her hotel balcony, the Atlanta skyline behind her. "I was painted as the other woman, the villain. But let me tell you something, I was lied to, just like Rasheeda. I was promised love, loyalty, and a future. Kirk told me Rasheeda was only staying for business, that their marriage was dead. I believed him, and that's my mistake. But don't act like I didn't bleed too." Tears slid down her cheeks as she spoke, but her voice stayed strong. "So to the fans who call me a homewrecker, know this. You can't wreck what's already in ruins." The live ended with 1 million views, and the internet exploded. Hashtags like #JasmineUnfiltered and #TruthHurts trended worldwide. Rasheeda watched the live, her fists clenched. For the first time, she felt a flicker of sympathy for Jasmine. Maybe they weren't enemies, maybe they were both survivors of Kirk's lies. She dialed Jasmine's number. Silence at first, then Jasmine's voice, shaky. "Why are you calling me?" Rasheeda breathed deep. "Because maybe we need to stop fighting each other and start fighting the man who broke us both." The alliance was born. Quietly, secretly, but it was there. The two women began exchanging messages, comparing timelines, uncovering just how deep Kirk's deception ran. They discovered he hadn't just promised Jasmine a future, he had whispered the same words to another woman months earlier. A dancer in Miami. Receipts surfaced. Screenshots. Suddenly it wasn't just an island scandal, it was a web of betrayal stretching further than anyone imagined. When the story broke, fans lost their minds. Kirk Frost. Triple life. Headlines screamed. Emotions ran high. The family was left divided, and Kirk's name became a curse online. VH1 announced another special, The Frost Files, promising to expose everything. In the days leading up to it, Rasheeda and Jasmine appeared together in public for the first time. Side by side, walking into a restaurant in Atlanta. Cameras flashed. Fans screamed. One shouted, "We stan the queens." Another yelled, "Leave Kirk in the dust." The photos went viral instantly, showing two women once at war now united in strength. Kirk, seeing the images, threw his phone across the room. He muttered, "They're teaming up against me." But deep down, he knew it wasn't about teaming up, it was about truth finally finding its voice. The night of the Frost Files arrived, and the whole world tuned in. Clips revealed secret texts, audio recordings, even bank statements showing Kirk funding trips and gifts behind Rasheeda's back. Jasmine sat beside Rasheeda, both women speaking their truths with calm fury. Kirk tried to defend himself, but the evidence was undeniable. The audience booed, the internet roasted him, and by the end of the night, his reputation was shattered beyond repair. Rasheeda ended the special with a single sentence that shook Atlanta. "I choose freedom." Jasmine followed with hers. "I choose myself." The studio erupted in cheers, fans online praising the women's strength, hashtags declaring them icons. Kirk sat slumped, broken, a man who had built an empire of lies only to watch it crumble live on television. And as the credits rolled, the city buzzed with one question: was this the end of Kirk Frost, or just the beginning of the most shocking redemption arc reality TV had ever seen? The morning after the Frost Files aired, Atlanta felt like it had woken up inside the eye of a hurricane. Every phone buzzed with clips, every radio station replayed Rasheeda's line, "I choose freedom." Every fan argued in barbershops and nail salons about whether Kirk could ever come back from this. Kirk himself barely made it through the night. He hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. His phone was dead from all the missed calls. But the noise outside his house didn't stop paparazzi, neighbors, even strangers pulling up just to gawk. His empire had turned to ash, and he sat in the middle of it, head in his hands, whispering, "How did I let it get this far?" Rasheeda, on the other hand, moved through the day with a calm determination. She had papers spread across her mother's kitchen table: lawyer contracts, brand proposals, interview requests. Her mother sat across from her, proud but worried. "Baby, you're strong, but strength is lonely if you don't let people in." Rasheeda looked up, her voice steady. "I let Kirk in for 20 years. I let him walk all over me, break me, rebuild me, and break me again. I'm done letting. Now I'm building." Her cousin chimed in from the couch. "Girl, the world is with you. They calling you the face of survival. Use it." Rasheeda smirked, not from vanity but from power she hadn't felt in years. Jasmine, meanwhile, sat in her hotel suite surrounded by producers pitching spin-off shows. One leaned forward eagerly. "Imagine this, Jasmine, unfiltered, your life, your truth, your new chapter. America's ready to see you as more than the side character." Jasmine listened, her lips pressed tight. "I'm not here to be a storyline. I'm here to tell the story that's mine." Still, part of her burned with the thrill of finally being seen, of finally having the chance to stand in her own light. But Atlanta wasn't ready to let this fade. Within days, blogs released new leaks: text messages from Kirk to another woman, a Miami dancer he had promised trips and gifts. Screenshots flooded timelines, headlines screamed Kirk's lies run deeper, and fans were shocked all over again. Emotions ran high, the family was left divided, and Kirk's name sank lower than ever. Rasheeda saw the leaks and shook her head. "He's addicted to betrayal," she muttered. Jasmine saw them too and whispered, "So it wasn't even just us. The betrayal that had once divided them now bound them closer." One night, Rasheeda and Jasmine met at a rooftop bar away from the cameras. The city glowed beneath them, the skyline sharp against the night. Jasmine sipped her drink, her voice low. "Crazy how we were enemies for years, and now it feels like we're the only two who get it." Rasheeda nodded slowly. "We fought each other while he sat back and let it happen. Maybe that was the game all along." Jasmine tilted her head. "So what now? We burn him down completely?" Rasheeda's eyes flickered with steel. "No, we build ourselves up so high he can't touch us." For the first time, they both smiled, not out of joy, but out of recognition that they were no longer pawns. Meanwhile, Kirk's children were caught in the crossfire. His son Kai went live on Instagram, frustrated. "Y'all don't understand. This is still my dad. Yeah, he messed up, but stop acting like we ain't human. We hurting too." The clip went viral, fans flooding with sympathy for the kids. Rasheeda watched it with tears in her eyes. "They didn't ask for any of this," she whispered. As the storm raged, VH1 announced a reunion special unlike any other. Frost Fallout, The Reckoning. Every major cast member was invited. The promos teased explosive confrontations, shocking new evidence, and promises of closure or chaos. Fans camped outside the studio for days, the hype bigger than any season premiere. The night of the taping, the studio was electric. Scrappy, Carly Red, and other cast members sat ready, gossip dripping from their lips. Rasheeda walked in first, dressed in gold, looking like a queen. The audience erupted in cheers. Jasmine followed, sleek in silver, her aura defiant. Boos and cheers clashed. Finally, Kirk entered last, his face tired, his body heavy, but still trying to carry the weight of his name. The crowd roared with boos. The host wasted no time. "Kirk, the world has seen it. All your island getaway. The leaks, the lies, the betrayals. What do you have to say tonight?" Kirk's voice trembled, but he forced it out. "I was wrong. I was weak. I broke the people I loved most. I can't take it back, but I can own it." The boos softened slightly, replaced by murmurs. Rasheeda leaned forward, her tone sharp. Owning it doesn't erase it. Owning it doesn't fix the years I spent crying while you smiled in another woman's bed. Jasmine cut in. Owning it doesn't fix the lies you told me about leaving her, about us, about forever. Kirk lowered his head. You're right. I destroyed both of you. The host pressed. So Kirk, are you ready to let go? Are you ready to face life without either of them? Kirk hesitated, then nodded slowly. If that's what it takes to give them peace. Yes. The crowd gasped. Rasheeda's eyes flickered with surprise. Jasmine's with disbelief. Then came another twist. VH1 rolled unseen footage from the island. A hidden angle showing Kirk breaking down on the balcony alone, whispering, I don't know how to stop lying. The audience gasped. The silence deafening. Rasheeda's eyes filled with tears, she quickly wiped away. Jasmine whispered, so you knew. You knew and you still didn't stop. Kirk's body shook. I was addicted to hiding. I thought lies kept me safe. But they only built my cage. The reunion ended with no reconciliation, no easy closure, just raw truth. Rasheeda declared, I'm moving on. Jasmine said, I'm telling my story. Kirk whispered, I'll find myself alone. The audience roared. Fans online exploded, and once again, the Frost saga dominated the world. But the story didn't end there. In the weeks that followed, Rasheeda launched a women's empowerment brand, turning her pain into profit. Jasmine released a book deal, titled No Shadows, that sold out pre-orders in hours. Kirk disappeared from the spotlight, rumors swirling that he had entered therapy, that he was working to rebuild himself away from cameras. Still, fans debated endlessly. Some said he deserved redemption, others insisted he was finished. Some rooted for Rasheeda to find new love, others wanted Jasmine to rise as a star. Emotions stayed high, families stayed divided, and the saga lived on. One night, months later, Atlanta was shocked again when paparazzi spotted Rasheeda and Jasmine attending the same gala arm in arm. Smiling, powerful, the internet lost its mind. Queens united, headlines screamed. Kirk, watching from afar, felt both crushed and oddly relieved. For once, they weren't enemies, and maybe that was the one good thing to come out of his downfall. But redemption has its own strange rhythm. Kirk quietly began volunteering at local community centers, mentoring young men, speaking about mistakes and consequences. Slowly, whispers spread that he was trying, not for fame, but for himself. Rasheeda heard about it from a cousin. Shouldn't forgive him, but she didn't scoff either. Jasmine heard too. She rolled her eyes, but a part of her thought, maybe. And so the saga stretched on. No easy endings, no neat bows, just raw lives, broken and rebuilding, under the harsh light of Atlanta's stage. Fans were shocked, emotions ran high, and the Frost family story carved itself deeper into reality, TV legend. And so, after everything, the island, the leaks, the lies, the confessions, the shattered bonds, and the rare glimpses of healing, the Frost saga leaves us with more questions than answers. Kirk Frost stands as a man trying to rebuild a name that fans once cheered and now question. Rasheeda walks taller, carrying freedom like a crown, reminding everyone that loyalty without respect is just another prison. Jasmine has carved her own lane, stepping out of the shadows and into the light, unfiltered and unapologetic. But what happens next? Will Kirk's attempts at redemption ever be enough to undo years of betrayal? Will Rasheeda finally close the chapter for good? Or is there still a corner of her heart that remembers the man she once loved? And Jasmine, will she continue to rise as her own powerhouse, or will her name forever be tied to the scandal that shook Atlanta? Fans are divided, emotions are still raw, and the family remains split. But one thing is certain. The island that was meant to be a secret getaway became a stage. And on that stage, truth tore through every mask. The world watched as lives unraveled under the spotlight, and the echoes of that storm still ripple through Atlanta. Now we turn the mic to you. What do you think? Should Rasheeda forgive Kirk, or is his chapter closed for good? Should Jasmine continue to tell her truth, even if it means dragging old wounds back into the light? And do you believe Kirk deserves a second chance, or has he finally run out of them? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. We want to know whose side you're on. Are you Team Rasheeda, standing strong and unbreakable? Team Jasmine, fighting for recognition and respect? Or do you still believe Kirk can rise again and reclaim his place? Don't just watch the drama, be part of the conversation. Hit that like button if you've been glued to every twist of this story. Smash the subscribe button so you never miss the next shocking update. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that the Frost family saga is far from over. And turn on notifications so you're the first to hear when the next secret drops, when the next bombshell explodes. and when the next chapter of this wild reality unfolds. Your voice matters here. Your opinion fuels the fire. So tell us, should Kirk Frost be forgiven, forgotten, or finished? Let us know in the comments. Share this video with your friends. And join the debate that has Atlanta and the whole world talking. Because one thing's for sure, this isn't just reality TV anymore. This is reality, raw and unfiltered, and the Frost Empire will never be the same again.